My name is David Mann. I joined the RNLI in November 1970 as a shore helper, then progressed onto a trainee crew, then emergency mechanic, then second mechanic, and left when the big boat went away in 92. Then became a DLA, which I probably still am.
My name is Clive Rayment. I started my RNLI service in Cromer in 1974 on the ILB and progressed to the big boat on the end of the pier, and from crew worked up to emergency mechanic, and then moved back to my hometown of Sheringham and joined the Sheringham Lifeboat as crew. Worked my way up to second coxswain and then coxswain, and when that boat went away I was senior helmsman of the Atlantic 21 and the Atlantic 75, and also during that time I was the mechanic for the two boats, and then retired and became DLA, which I've about to finish this year.
My name's Martyn Jackson. I'm a bit of a late comer to the ball. I retired from fishing in 1990, moved down to Sheringham to take over the family business, and joined the crew in 1990-91, just at the changeover between the big boats and the small Atlantics. Joined initially as a shore helper, but because of circumstances ended up as Clive's understudy for a few years, and then took over from him as senior helmsman on the Atlantic 75. Retired when I was 45, because that was the rules at the time, and nowadays occasionally I'll go down and help train the lads with a little bit of navigation and this sort of thing, and help out if and when required.
My name's Trevor Holsey. I joined RNLI late 1960, 28 years as crew and second coxswain of the old boat, and after retiring from the big boat because of the age limit when they took the big boat away for the Atlantic to come, I've become a DLA, and I've just served just over 60 years with RNLI.
My name's Kenny Holloway, known as Kenny. I joined about the same time as Trevor. Shore helper, progressed to crew, and I went through until 1988 when I had to retire through loss of sight.
Everybody remembers their first trip on a lifeboat. Mine was at Cromer, and we were taking the Ruby and Arthur Reed to Yarmouth to get the relief boat to bring it back to Cromer, and that's my very first trip. Shrimp Davis was coxswain, and Richard Davis was second coxswain, and there's another fisherman in Cromer called Billy Davis. They called him Blonde Billy. Yeah. And he said, "Do you want to have a look at the radios down there?" And I said, "Yeah." And I went down in the after cabin, and they roped the door shut all the way to Yarmouth. Expecting me to be sick and that, but I enjoyed myself because there was all the equipment in there, and they couldn't believe it when I came out and I wasn't sick. That's the very first. What about your first trip, Trevor?
Well, my first trip was after the local crab boats. I went off obviously early in the morning, and while I was at sea the wind come very strong northwest, and as you know, our crab boats have a difficult of landing on the beach, a stony beach. So that was my first trip I had on the boat. That was obviously the Oakley. I'd just done well, half a season really on the Forest Centenary. Then I joined when the Oakley come in. What about you, David?
Blakely Point out red flares. I spent the first hour and a half forward on the searchlight, getting nicely washed. And I heard Bennett say, "Don't you think we better get him in now before he dies?" So they let me in the wheelhouse then. Then I went for the radios and the radar because I found it was a lot more comfortable and a lot more warmer. And I stuck to that seat as much as I could for the next 25, 30 years.
Well, I remember one time when it wasn't that comfortable for you and me anyway, and to bookend Trevor here, your last shout, I think, was on Lloyd's 2, wasn't it? When you took her off,
Yeah,
grab boats off Waveman,
yeah.
and we picked up a rope and the screw on the way off.
We fell in a big hole.
Me and him spent the entire trip trying to cut this rope off one of the shafts.
I think I was a bit privileged really, because I brought the last offshore boat to Sheringham, Lloyd's 2, and I also took the Lloyd's 2 away from Sheringham.
And you did the last big boat shout.
Yeah, and our last big boat shout, which was unfortunate. We got everything prepared for a, what we call a carriage launch, and unfortunately we put up one of the ropes as we fell in the hole.
Yeah, that was my first trip, with an entire trip to Weybourne and back trying to cut a rope off.
That's because he had green trousers.
Because the thing is with the Oakley, it's not that they were overboard trying to cut the rope out the propeller. They have 2 encasement hatches that over each propeller. So they had to take this hatch out, and then there's a knife on the end of a handle, and that has a saw on one side and a blade on the other, and you have to saw it out the propeller, because obviously the coxswain would stop that engine and saw that out, and that's what they were doing. Going out, just to explain. What about you, Kenny?
Yeah, well, I think I remember my first trip was to a sick man on the Dudgeon lightship. That was a lovely flat, calm sea, but there was a fog, and that's the reason we were sent instead of the helicopter. But that was a long old trip, really. Yeah.
Yes.
But the bloke we picked up, I don't know whether he's sick or not, because he ate everything we had aboard the boat. He went through the corned beef, the green crackers, and everything. Yeah.
Blimey,
Yeah.
green crack.
Yeah.
I think the longest trip we had, Clive, David, and me, we went just over 19 hours from when we left the beach till we got back. We went to carry on car ferry, which was on the Haysborough. Torgoffia, but Crewman actually got the call at one. We had to relieve him because his throttle cables went. We got the call about 1 o'clock in the morning, didn't we?
Yeah.
And that's where we have a man overboard exercise because a certain member of the crew lost his hat. Not mentioning no names.
I sat on that seat for 2 hours nearly. We got in the middle of Haysborough Sands, and I'd never been in the middle of Haysborough Sands before, rough. And I had a little hat on, a bit like Kenny's, and I put my head out of the wheelhouse and the hat blew off. And poor old Brian Pegg was coxswain, and like the fool I shouted, I actually did shout hat overboard. But he thought I said man overboard, and the colour drained out of his face. Anyway, we turned the boat, got the boat out, and I got it back and dried it out in the engine room. By the time we got home that afternoon, that was spun dry.
Yeah.
Well, I think our longest trip on the 75 was to the Woolpack Boy, just off. Yeah, in the Wash. The Woolpack Boy is in the Wash.
Yeah.
And there was a publican at
Burnham, was
I
it?
can't remember what we went for.
yeah, well, a publican apparently launched his boat to go to Wells from Blakeney to get fish and chips. Never be seen again. And his girlfriend said that he went, and Chroma Lifeboat went as well, and we were in the 75. So we were searching landward side, and the lifeboat was further off. And Richard Davis said on the radio, he said, I think this is a waste of time, but we carried on and we did. And me and him, we saw this buoy in front of us. We thought, what's that? Well, when we got to it, that said the Woolpack on it. Well, that's in the Wash.
Yeah.
It's the entrance to King's Lynn, basically.
Yes, the entrance is to King's Lynn. So
I know I was in the watch room and I thought, oh, where are they gone? Kept them going. You'll have Alan Prairie, aren't you?
Yeah. But yeah, that was...
Comes a lot grand then.
We did do.
Yeah, it was good. Like we went when we first had one of the fast boats, because I wasn't really allowed on it. so we went training. There was Martyn, myself, Yogi, Scott.
I think it was Yogi, because he tends to remind me of this quite frequently, so I'm pretty sure it was then.
And it was raining, a bit like it did early hours in the morning. And well, we go to Wells Fairway.
It was a fairly scuffly night, if I remember.
That was slushy, yeah. So we went to Wells Fairway, then set out for the Bellman, and Martyn said we'll head for home now. Martyn's on the wheel, on the helm. We see the light. We kept it going and going. This light, white light. That was the stern light of a trawler.
He was home.
That's a good job we stopped before we got to Yarmouth. We'd have been out of petrol. But the only thing I really remember about it is you and me trying to roll a fag.
Yeah.
And that was that wet. When we got the fag rolled, we couldn't light it. That was a rough night.
That was a bit scuffly.
We should have been there, really.
Well, what we were doing
I
right
should
way
have
out there must have been mad.
Yeah.
I should have been there anyhow.
There ain't many times, that the three boats have been off together searching. We used to go with Wells, perhaps for red flares, or we go with Cromer. But I know me and the coxswain, Henry Joyful, he was obviously retired at DLA. We went down the boathouse this Sunday morning to see the Madge come past what Clive and David was on. There's lovely, flat, calm, no wind whatsoever. We were going on an exercise about 10 o'clock that morning to the East Buoy. We went out to the East Buoy and met these 5 yachts and the escort boat. We done all a bit of exercise, and just we got the Oakley back on the carriage.
That's right, yeah.
Henry Joyful, who was the DLA, come down and he says, I think you better relaunch again. The wind then flew out to the northwest about 6 or 7, and so we relaunched because there was a yacht out there singing a pan pan, and we got hold of this yacht and took the little kid off, and that's the only time I remember that us, Wells and Cromer were after the same rescue.
This boat was purchased to come in this museum. It didn't look like that then.
No.
And it had a wheelhouse and one thing and another on it. And we were taking it to be put back to, as it is now, to put back in the original state. And we sailed past here, as Trevor said, flat calm. We got the Munsley and the breeze picked up, so we thought we'd put the sail up. So it had a little engines in it that didn't do a lot of good, so we thought we'd put the sail up. So we had the sail up, but turned the engines off. That was lovely and nice and quiet. I was on the tiller, and there was a little single-handed French yacht, and we seemed to be making ground on him. So we thought, right, Eric Wink knew what he was doing with sails, and he trimmed the sail for us. And then went down below to have a cup of tea or something, and we was going along nicely, and all of a sudden these squalls came in, and the little single-handed yachtsman, he trimmed his sails a bit. He was lying over quite nicely, and Eric Wink thought he'd come and trim our sails again, and he came out the hatch and he smoked a pipe. And that was raining and the wind was blowing. All he did is turned his pipe upside down. A load of ash fell out, and he carried on smoking his pipe while he trimmed the sails. I was on the tiller, and that's a long tiller. And I was vertical with trying to keep the boat straight with my feet on the rusion and my shoulders on the tiller to try and keep the boat straight while they trimmed the sail back down even further. That was and we beat the yacht. We overtook him, didn't we?
Yeah, we did, yeah.
We overtook him.
I see Wink giving it now, the old French.
But But that was the same day as Trevor now saying.
That's the only time I can remember.
There was a fresher wind.
Yeah, yeah.
was a
The worst bit of it is though, because all the wives knew we were going off on exercise in the morning, because we didn't put the maroons up when we were launched on service, so we didn't get back till tea time, so I thought we'd been in the pub all day.
I got a phone call from the Coast Guard that a coaster carrying grain had seen a body in the sea. Flat calm day. And obviously the coaster can't touch a dead body because all his grain in the hold would have to be for animal feed only. And the helicopter, if they went to pick this body up, would have to have the whole aircraft sterilised. So I said, yeah, we'll go.
Mid-afternoon, middle of August, wasn't it?
That's right.
Blazing hot day.
A lovely and flat calm. And we went off and we picked this body up and brought that ashore. And I don't know, perhaps nearly a month later, we got a lovely letter from his wife thanking us because she could say cheerio to him and bury him. And what happened was he was digging worms at
Lincolnshire.
Carrington.
Yeah.
Cleethorpes or somewhere, wasn't he?
yeah,
Lincolnshire coast, boy.
yeah, he was. He was digging worms to go fishing, had a heart attack, keeled over, and tide came in and took him out. And he was there for about a month.
It was a month to the day.
Yeah, but that was so. That's a nice one when a wife can say cheerio to her husband. That makes that nasty bit worthwhile.
You know, I remember going tasked to for two children that got missing off the groin near Cromer Pier that day.
Yeah.
Again, beautiful sunny day, middle of the season, beach full of people. Glorious day, and I took the boat down and witnessed the helicopter. They found the two children, they'd fallen off the groin, got washed under the groin. And the helicopter actually lifted them out. And to bring the boat back, having seen two children, they were about 8 or 9 years old, weren't they?
Yeah.
Winched out, and then got back, and my wife and my daughter, who was the same age, were sat on the ramp waiting for it to come home, and that was really rather unpleasant.
Yeah, you can go out umbrellas.
Yeah,
Well, that was an interesting one. That was an interesting one. It's still in debate whether David claims it or I claim it.
Nice fishing, wasn't it?
We got a task by the Coast Guard that there's a boat going past and nobody in it. So we launched.
Shot in dusk.
And that was just coming in as dusk. So the best way to see is to get close to the deck so you silhouette whatever against the darkening sky. And David saw this, there it is, he said there it is, and we went to it. And what that was one of these big fishing umbrellas that had about 1 gallon of water in the bottom, which kept it upside down to what you would have an umbrella. And so that was in the water like that, bobbing about. And so what I said as coxswain, that I will look after this umbrella until the person who owns it come and gets it back. Well, I've still got it in my shed, used it many a time, haven't I, Dave, when we was fishing on the beach.
Can you remember the fin mark?
Yeah. That was a New Year's Day.
That's right, yeah. Finish.
When we got him aboard the lifeboat.
The hook one.
No, he was drunk.
Yeah.
When we got aboard the lifeboat, Bennett said, do you want some water? And of course, Bennett got this bottle out. He thought it was vodka, so he got down on and spit it out on him again.
It smashed all his arm then.
Made it quite poorly.
Yeah.
No, we launched after a chap had a hook in his hand.
Oh, that's in the Elizabeth.
Yeah. And we went, when we left the beach with the Oakley, they all kept saying, well, there's got to be a great old card hook. We should have rendezvoused with him at the East Buoy, but we finished rendezvous with him at the Haysborough. We got him aboard the boat, and Roy said to him, where's his hook? And he said, there it is, and that was a little old plate hook.
Yeah, but if you remember, when you went off, the radio packed in, didn't you?
Yeah,
And it
yeah.
didn't come back on until you clamped alongside
So-
the young
so-
business
yeah.
when you banged up against the side.
Yeah, yeah.
Sorry,
Well, then we was coming home with him from the Haysborough, and we hit the beach, and just as we hit the beach, me and Roy stood in the forewell, and he went, that's a bit cold, it went like that, and he hit my snout. And more blood come out of me, more he didn't know who to kill too fast, me or the casualty, Martyn. There, over there, and he come straight ashore, got in a taxi, went straight to Yarmouth, and the boat went into Yarmouth and picked him up.
You remember that time we had the first shout of the year in the entire UK?
Yeah.
We were all in the Lobster. We'd just finished singing Old Lang Syne and all the rest of it. David come crashing through the door. What the bloody hell are you doing in there? The pages have just gone off. And we all sort of looked at each other, what? And then Clive was in there, he said, everyone got a set of keys? Take a car off the car park. And this set of keys appeared. We went running out on the car park. Well, what car's it for? We spent about the next 10 minutes going around the car trying to find the car that the bloody keys were.
Yeah.
We never did get there. I think Yogi got there, didn't he? Yogi got there. He'd been at home and he got there and took the boat away. So it wasn't down to us, thankfully. But we did get off. That was literally about, what, 2 or 3 minutes past midnight, wasn't it?
That was, yeah, it's the first trip of any lifeboat that year. Wasn't it?
Yeah. I can't remember. I have no idea what
He came out, this guy came out of the Crown drunk, didn't he, and walked into the sea.
Yeah, he decided he was going to top himself.
But then, I think before the lifeboat got there, he decided that's too cold and walked back out.
Cocktail too, was it that yacht?
Yeah. When he's then, Yarmouth was saying to him on the radio, well, I think, come past Yarmouth, and he then thought of our hole there.
Yeah.
So we launched after him then, and we took the sick man off, didn't we? Moored the yacht up, and we chucked the anchor right over the shank of the crab pot.
Jack was shank, the anchor went right through a crab pot. Poor old Billy thought was trying to haul it, he couldn't get it up. They put me aboard to haul it. Her Jack was swear when it come up with crab pot on the end.
This particular day, Nat Green was on it, and you see this old thing coming down, about 5 more to sea. There's an old Clyde puffer.
Yeah.
Vic 3-2, that was called. Had a great old chimney stack right in front of the wheelhouse, and he wouldn't make much headway. So Nat thought, I'll have a boat off after him, have a look. So he called Yarmouth and said, he think Sheringham boat should go and have a look at it and see what's about. So up we go. That's for sort of like fresh breeze, about 6 or 7 northwest. And when we got alongside of him, he bumped 6 ton of coal from Yarmouth to here. So we put a rope on him and towed him back. And when we got back, there was 6 students on board, and they had these Rayburn ovens.
Yeah. And
they were down, we had great old steps we had to go down, and they done us all pea soup. Blast, that was lovely pea soup. Really was. I've been there all night. It's nice to have something hot when you got there next morning.
The other yacht, Smiling Swiss.
Yeah.
The Smiling Swiss is his husband and wife on board, and she'd caught her head on a halyard, I think, and cut herself. So we went off, or we took her to the brought her ashore, and they took her to the hospital. She got it stitched or whatever. The nice thing about that, we got some lovely Swiss chocolates.
Yeah, boxes
later.
Box of chocolates, man.
Yeah, lovely.
yeah.
Then very often you get any.
Didn't you get one, Kenny?
Yeah.
Oh, I saw.
Well, I got.
You had more, didn't you?
No, I was walking down to the East End, and Joyce will come down. Can you come and give us a hand? Well, when I went up, there was a railway thing, and I couldn't lift this box of chocolates, so I had to give him a hand and put it. Joyce was all.
That was a lot.
Yeah.
That was a lot
Yeah.
of chocolates.
You got round the shore one night in the dark. He missed Blakeney. He missed the lights for Blakeney, so he ran up Clyde Beach. And anyway, we all got called down the boathouse, didn't we? Peg was coxswain, Brian was coxswain.
Yeah.
And well, we go and see if we can get more. So away we go, that Clive. And that was a nice night.
Yeah,
fine
yeah.
enough night.
Yeah.
And water was filling up a bit. And well, we got to get a line ashore. So we get a rocket line out. We got these big rocket lines. So Coast Guard's on the shore with his blue light on his right Land Rover going. So he said to me, "Where you got to shoot it to?" "Well, I got rain for something," I say. "I'm going for that blue light." Next thing I see, the Land Rover had gone over the hill. So we couldn't see him. But then we got the line ashore. We got them off, didn't we?
Yeah.
Our port engine got a bit hot, I seem to remember. I remember them Blakey ones for the church service.
Yeah. Yeah.
Peg was coxswain, and they weren't that big of toys. Anyway, David Hurt used to sort of pilot us, do the piloting, you know. And he'd come up and whisper to Brian, he'd say, "Water's dropping." He was looking at the wet on the post, "Water's dropping. You ought to be gone." Of course, that's all Brian wanted.
Yeah.
Fireman. So I said, "What about Billy Thurton and Mark Watts? They gone our ice creams. We can't worry about them." So we turned around, there's Billy Thurton on the quay with 8 or 9 ice creams. We're off, we're gone. I don't think he come down the boathouse much out of that. They're all there.
I remember one really lovely summer's day. You were DLA, you called me up, and there were 2 people, it was flood tide. They'd gone out on the west sands of Blakeney, and somebody had seen them gesticulating and waving and everything, assumed they were in trouble. And so you rang me at work, and we launched. And we got up, gently eased our way in, because water was about halfway up. Saw these people on the west sands, sort of got up to them, really sort of had to feel our way in ever so gently. I said, "Oh, hello, what do you want?" I said, "Well, we come to save you." You know, "Well, why?" "Well, you're in trouble." You know, so we've come to rescue you. I said, "We're not in trouble." I said, "You are. Somebody saw you waving." He said, "Oh, no, we're not. We were doing our yoga exercise." So we said, "Well, anyway, it's half tide, you're going to have a hell of a long walk home." And said, "You know, hop in, we'll give you a lift home." Because all the coast guards and everything were all waiting down in Mawson for us to bring them through.
Yeah.
Because one of the girls jumped in the boat, she stood on the forward cleat and twisted her ankle, so she couldn't have walked home anyway. That was a bona fide rescue in the end, because she got it walking with a twisted ankle and couldn't walk.
But there was one when I was at Cromer, on the Cromer lifeboat. We got called to go to an old trawler, and this guy had converted the fish hold into a bit of living accommodation. He was taking on water through his stern tube. On old trawlers, they have this big rubber diaphragm called a whale gusher, and you put a bit of scaffold pole in it,
That's
and
right.
you prime it
On
with
the
a
deck,
bucket
yeah.
of water. Do you remember that?
Yeah.
So I got this water and I put it in there, and I managed to get it going, and that was pumping out,
Yeah.
I should think, 2 gallon a pump.
Oh, bloody effective.
Yeah.
Very effective. So the skipper then got a bit happier, and he said, "Would you like a cup of tea?" So we said, "Oh, thank you very much." So he disappeared down in this fish hold, came back up again, and came back in the wheelhouse with us. A little while later, this other bloke comes up at the wheelhouse. So Billy said, "Where the hell did he come from?" He had these 2 cups of warm cups of tea that tasted really salty. So anyway, we then go past Sheringham to Wells, and the Wells lifeboat came off to escort us in. "Follow me." So righto, and away we go, and that was a bit swelly over the bar at Wells. And we was going in and we was riding in on these waves, and Blonde Billy said to me, "Do you want to steer?" I said, "No, that's all right, you can if you like." The wheel had come off of the stanchion, and he had the wheel in his hand with the hydraulic pipes, coming from it. He said, "You can if you like."
That ain't gonna upset anybody, whatever we say about it.
That's what you say about me.
That's it, that's finished.
Yeah, we'll go.
Ain't nothing else.
Did you get that?
Yeah.